This is a sector and space that is very, very tough. They're coming on the podcast today because they've got some marketing challenges, specifically finding and attracting new customers.
We are a menswear brand. Our aim is to create a product with the lowest carbon impact as we can.
Can small brands last? Is it just about burning cash until you don't? Are there just too many brands in the market?
We target Gen X. We're unapologetic about targeting the sort of silver-haired generation, but they're not very active on social.
All too often you end up running a business and you're so busy just building it, where are you actually headed? So you need to understand how reliant your business is, and that's really powerful because then you can say my online business is 50%, 70%, 20% reliant on X channel. Don't try and be all things to all people. Don't try and focus so much on selling the brand that you forget that you're selling the product. If your lifetime value, if your repeat customer is as good as you say it is, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to double this business in the next sort of 18 months. Today on the pod, we're talking fashion. Yes, we've got a brand that positions themselves as selling climate-conscious clothing. They're almost doing 500,000 online, but this is a sector and space that is very, very tough. We know because we previously worked in it. They're coming on the podcast today because they've got some marketing challenges, specifically finding and attracting new customers and being heard. Nick is our guest today, and he's coming on so that we can help him to grow this business. Let's get into it. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen, the podcast designed to help you grow your business by providing practical insights into all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy. Every episode, we help home, garden, and lifestyle brands with their growth challenges by delving into their business, dissecting what they're doing, and defining a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. Let's get into it. Right, welcome back, beautiful people. I hope everyone is doing well. Darren, how are you doing, sir? You well?
Yeah, I'm really good. After about 10 takes of that intro, I'm glad that we're finally here.
Honestly, honestly, viewers, listeners, you will not know the pain we've just had for me to get over my tongue tie and introduce this episode. Wow, that honestly took 10 takes.
Climate conscious clothing is a very
I'm blaming
nice
the strap
thing.
line.
Yeah.
What a tongue tie. Anyway, yes, it's but we're now into the full flow of the pod, which is, thank heavens for that. I feel like I can relax now. The most difficult bit is doing the opening segment, isn't it? Right. Anyway, so our guest today is Nick. So the brand is Neem London. It's a relatively new business, been going 3 years, small business, got 4 or 5 people. As I said at the top, fast approaching that 500,000 turnover. And as I said, this is a space that we've previously worked in. It's very tough. This is a very, very tough space to be in. Clothing, sort of eco-friendly, climate-conscious clothing is a difficult one. So just to paint you a scene in terms of what Nick has said are his main challenges. His big one, as you might want to guess, is he's put it as recruiting customers, finding customers. How do you do that online, in this space? Second one, being heard. Third big challenge is scaling without Meta. And I know that Nick's not a huge fan. As he said in the pre-chat chat, I have a love-hate relationship with Meta. So we're going to get into that and find out what's going on there. Why doesn't he like Meta?
I'm very curious about that one.
He's using a whole bunch of different marketing platforms. Klaviyo for his email. He's on Shopify. He's dabbling with a bit of Pinterest. And I think he's doing some Google ads as well. His marketing spends $5,000 a month. And he's got some questions. And I love, we always ask the question, what does your business look like when it's finished? And we always ask that because I like to understand, are the owner-operated businesses that we get on the pod, are they clear on what they're actually building? Because all too often you end up running a business and you're so busy just building it, where are you actually headed? And I liken it to this whole analogy of getting in the car. You have a destination in mind. So I think when you're running a business, and Nick's put on here, what's your business look like when it's finished? It's a waste collector, which ties into the whole, obviously climate conscious. So that's going to be really good. And I have to say at the very outset, the mission he's on, I love it. That whole is great. So that's fantastic. And I've definitely got some ideas, having had a look at the website, what I would do and do differently. But I'm going to hold fire until we get from Nick what he's done so far and what he's doing. He's then got some questions that he wants to sort of go through. And I think you can get a real sense of where Nick's at in his journey by the questions he's actually asked. So he said, can small brands last? Is what he wants to know, what we'll get into. Then he's asked, is it just about burning cash until you don't? How many of you can relate to that? And then, are there just too many brands in the market? There are going to be a lot of brands in this space, but I think you can compete. But I think, I'm going to say, I'm going
I think
to
there are
hold on
three
that.
pretty deep questions.
They're good questions. They're really good questions. But I think for me, they're very telling as to where his mind's at in terms of where he's at. And I think that, for me, there's one overarching theme based on those, which we'll come on to later based on the conversation. As I say, I've got some ideas. But yeah, before we bring Nick on, you know what time it is?
It's time for that same old thing we do every single week now. It's not old, actually. It's still fairly new. I was going to say,
well, we only had 3 or 4 times.
This is the fourth
time.
one, yeah.
Come on, let's do it.
And just to do a quick recap,
yes,
we're 0 for 3 at the moment. You've yet to get one of these correct.
It's shocking, isn't it? Is it really? Yeah, I haven't got one right, have I?
No.
Well, to be fair, you have asked some very... to try and bring in, questions about billions on the nose.
True.
We need to set a range. If you get this within 10 billion, you're right.
Yes, I think that's fair.
So I think you need to ask some better questions.
Well, today might be a turnaround. I've got a more specific question for you. But before we actually get into it, it's time for the theme.
Tee that thing up.
Yes, that's right. It's time for a paid media mystery.
Come on, lay it on me.
So, I'm talking Google Ads today.
Okay, finally, we've got a pay. He's done it. It's only taken him the fourth time. I think this is the first one about Google Ads specifically. Good.
And we're talking about Google Ads headlines today. And my question for you is, what is the maximum number of characters allowed in a Google Ads headline?
This is good. This is specific for you. Oh, I'm liking this. This is okay.
I found my rhythm.
You have. It's only taken the equivalent of a month worth of pods to get it right. Okay, say it again. To the maximum.
Number of characters.
Yep.
Not words, but characters.
Right.
Allowed in a Google Ads headline.
30.
You are correct.
There you go.
You know your Google Ads headlines.
I do. Well, there you go. See, give me a specific question and I can give you a specific answer. Yes, 30 characters.
30
there
characters.
You go. Not 31 or 32 or 29. No, 30.
Absolutely spot on.
There you go. See, boom. Right. I'm clawing back. So that's 1 in 4.
Are you going to count this as the first official one? So you're technically
exactly
undefeated.
That. The first 3 were merely a warm-up.
Yeah.
Merely a warm-up. So yeah, no, it took the first 3 to get into our groove. But there you go.
I think I wasn't being very fair with a lot of the answers I was asking for in the last 3 were more average sort of things. Okay. So which is why I made a specific effort to have it as a definitive number this time rather than on average, what's this?
Yeah.
Because I thought I thought I was being a bit too mean.
I think that's See, producer Darren, his sultry tones. Yes, being a little bit, but a little bit, But 1 in 4, I'll take that. You wait. I'll turn it around. Turn it around. Right. Let's bring Nick on and then get into Neem London and figure out how we can help this business grow. Let's do it. Nick, are you there, my friend?
I am here. Nice to meet you both. Thrilled
Nick,
to be here
firstly, I need to apologise for the numerous takes I did at the start before I could put my teeth in and actually get my words out. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you.
We have quite a few strap lines. The climate conscious clothing is a tongue twister there. So sorry about that. Next time, just go with style that doesn't cost the earth.
There you go. Okay, is that another one that you use?
We've got a few. Yeah, we've got a few. We don't overthink the strap line. It's one of those things you can obsess about, isn't it? But we've got 3 or 4. We've got positively modern menswear. As I say, style that doesn't cost the earth, and then the one that you love, climate conscious clothing.
What was that last one? Positively
modern menswear.
Modern menswear. Blimey, you have got a few because I'd already. Okay, that's it. We'll circle back to that because that's actually one of my points on here. Is you have got quite a few of these. So, do you want to just quickly introduce 30 seconds? Who are you? Just give us a flavour of what Neem London is. Over to you.
Yeah, so I'm Nick Reed. I am the founder and owner of Neem London. We've been going for 3 years. We are a menswear brand. We're now sort of branching organically, really, into unisex as well, because we've been selling a bit to women's over the last year. We have a shop in North London. Prior to that, we had a shop in the West End in Piccadilly Arcade. We do a lot of pop-ups, events around the country as well. And we're turning over, as you say, close to 500,000. And our aim is to create a product with the lowest carbon impact as we can. And then we take the product back at end of life. And then we deal with that product accordingly to its state of repair.
Gotcha. Okay, amazing. Right. And so just give us a little bit of background. How did it come to be? What were you doing before this business? Just give us a little bit of background about sort of you and what's brought you to running the business as you do today.
So I've been in menswear for 20 odd years. I studied fashion and textiles at Leeds University, and then I worked as a textile agent for a bit. It was well paid, and it was a good party time in my 20s. Then I was at Debenhams for a while as an assistant buyer. Then I joined a company called Charles Tyrwhitt when they were quite small, when they were about 2 or 3 million turnover, and I was there for a long time, 16 years, and then left them as buying a brand director when they were about 250 million, and then I went to Moss Bros as buying a brand director, and I was there for 4 years. And then really during the pandemic, I'd always had an itch to start something, as well as always had been obsessed about where things were made, how they were made, tracing the product right back to source and to farm, and over time, and especially in the last few years at Moss Bros, I'd noticed that there was less interest in the actual provenance or the what builds the product, and considering the product as an asset, much more focused on styling and fashion and volume and of course value with it, and felt that there was a need to bring something to market that was thought through and hard coded from day one, with a low carbon message, and in order to create a product and a brand that was as low carbon as possible, I did feel it needed to be started from foundation, really.
Okay.
So then I was working on that for a year, 18 months, working on the supply chain, and then we launched in October 21. And then since then, I've been working hard on Neem, as well as doing some other consulting bits and bobs to avoid divorce, if you know what I mean, when you've got a startup.
Sure. Okay. Okay, that's good. I mean, so more than qualified in terms of your experience, stuff like that, which is amazing. So, I want to skip right forward then now to your marketing challenges, because I've got some, sort of big ideas here in terms of what I think, what I would do with the experience that I've had in the past of how I think you can build a niche brand and stand out in what is an incredibly competitive market. So, you put your first marketing challenges as recruiting, finding customers. Just give us a flavor of what you are doing right now that's driving the business up to its, that 500,000 turnover that you're currently doing. What are you doing to market the brand?
Yeah, so we target Gen X. We're unapologetic about targeting the sort of silver-haired generation.
Hmm.
So our core customer is 45 to 70 years of age. They like the style. They like the fact that we're targeting their demographic,
Yep.
and they quite often are working in a green job. Not always, but the repeat purchase rate is high. It's 40+%. Obviously, that
Hmm.
changes depending on the amount of marketing spend that's going on and the time of year, and how many new customers are coming in.
Right.
But they're not big or very active on social, probably other than LinkedIn. Quite often that they're not all over the internet. So we have a shop. That's crucial for us. We've had a shop for over 2 years in 2 different locations. That's a really good place to have a conversation, recruit customers, and I'm obsessive about in-store conversations lead to conversions. So therefore, our message is quite deep. It's quite long-winded. We run life cycle assessments. We take the product back. All the products are Scope 3 carbon offset and measured.
Hmm.
And in order to explain that to a customer, it's quite difficult to do with as we were talking about earlier, with a simple strap line. And there's so many brands there's so many brands over claiming in this area
Sure.
that also it's quite difficult to do in a digital environment without it looking almost like greenwashing. Whereas in a physical environment, it's a much simpler conversation. So we have a shop. We do a lot of events. So we've done probably 9 pop-ups this year around the country. Some very successful. Big Festival in the Cotswolds
Yep.
was a very good event for us. We were at Bath Fashion Festival. That was a great event for us. Wilderness was good, and then some not so good. Game Fair wasn't great, but Burley was good. And then we've done a few other sort of pop-ups around the country in cities as well. Then we work hard on email. We have a very high open rate. We cleanse the list heavily, and we get a 60+% open rate and a 2.5-3% click. So we work hard on that. And we
what
only
sort of
send an
size is
email.
your email list?
About 4,000 at the moment.
Okay.
And we've got 15,000 emails, but we cleanse it, and we just don't email people that don't engage after one or two emails. We just remove them, and we'd love to have create an email list that we just haven't got around to, that where we only send once a month, because I think some people like the email once a week, but some people, I think, once a week is too much.
Okay.
And then we do a magazine. We do a magazine 2-3 times a year where we send a direct mail to core customers. We don't send it it's not as an acquisition tool. It's only sent to customers. Okay. And we follow that up with either a private email or a general email, or sometimes even a text. And that works. That drives that repeat purchase rate that I was talking about. Yep. We run Google Ads, mostly PMax at the moment. We run brand search as well, but PMax is what we're doing. We get good. We've optimized that, and that's working quite well. We're on Awin, and we run affiliate deals on Awin, which I think are sort of different channel, different customer. So I don't have a big problem with it. And then we work hard on SEO. So we set out with that as an aim, that if someone pumps in, sustainable menswear, we're there, we're known. So a lot of people find us in that way, and that works. And then also we do a lot of off-site marketplaces. So we're selling in various different marketplaces off-site.
Online or online?
Mostly online. We're in a few small physical shops, but they're sort of independent shops. We're not in any major retailer.
Okay,
but we're in about six shops around the country, but not big volume, but nice presence, nice people.
Okay, and that's about the measure of everything. I mean, that's quite
well.
Quite
PR, we've done very well with. We're not spending so much on PR at the moment, but we've been featured in everywhere from Telegraph to Vogue to Esquire to local journals as well.
And how is that? Is that, have you got an agency actively working on your behalf doing that?
We've had 3 agencies in over the 3 years we've been going, or 3 sort of independent agencies, probably too grand a word, but 3 people have worked on it. One was a slightly larger agency, but at the moment, no, we haven't got anyone. We've cut that off. The other thing we have done is pay-per-click on. We've done that in 2 ways. We've done it with a company called Apumu, stroke Word Seed, which specializes in menswear pay-per-click, and then we've also done it via Linkbee, which specializes in more general pay-per-click.
And on what platform though?
So we've ended up. So it's sort of it's almost like a paid PR. We've been in Country and Town House. We've been in Metro. We've been in.
Oh, is that what you mean by the pay-per-click type?
That's
stuff?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's sort
Fine,
of paid listings, really.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Amazing. So, and just want to circle back to the Google Ads. Obviously, that's our area of expertise. So the Google Ads, what are you doing that in house? Outsourcing that?
We just do that ourselves. Yeah, I do a lot of it.
What do you spend a month?
We vary, but anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 a month.
Okay, and what kind of return do you get on that?
Oh, it's good at the moment. It's like 3 times, I think, 4 times.
3-4 rates. Okay, fine.
It's off at the moment, rather annoyingly, because someone mistakenly, and this is a warning to anyone out there. Our Google, our comparison shopping service, our CSS, was connected to an off-site marketplace in Europe that drives quite a few sales for us, and then that stopped our ads from working, and that's taken quite a while, the last 2-3 weeks, to sort that out. You know what it's like with Google. Sometimes it's like speaking to God.
Yes, that's not good. Yeah. So do you own your own ad account then, or not?
We do, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you need to wrestle that control back for sure. So, and your SEO, do you do that in house? Do you outsource anything, or is it more, are you doing all this your stuff yourself?
We do it all ourselves.
Okay, fine. So, okay, and all of these things. I mean, some of the, you've got a shop, amazing events. I love, that. Email was going to be one of the things I wanted to check that you're doing. And then, I love the offline stuff, the magazines, like amazing. So that's good. And then there's a real mix of stuff there. So I think that's good. So of all of how is the business performing? If you look at this year's revenue versus last year, are you growing overall? What's the trend?
Yeah, we're well up. Yeah, so since October 1st to date, I mean, it's a daily challenge, as everyone will know, listening
Sure.
to drive the sales, put money in the till.
Yeah.
But we're about 80-90% up on last year.
Okay, amazing. All
But
right.
off a small base, we're only a
Yeah,
small
yeah, no, of course those those percentage numbers will come down as you
base.
grow. So okay, so where do I even start with this one? So okay, because with the website, so I want to focus. Obviously, we'll talk for the most part about the website and stuff like that. So what is your? Well, firstly, do you have Google Search Console set up? Do you know what that is?
We do, I think. Yes.
Yes.
I will
So
double check with thanks.
Google Search Console is something to note down and just check. Whoever is if it's yourself or whoever on the team is like the techie one that would look at the analytics and the sales performance and the SEO stuff. Google Search Console is a tool that I want to mention right at the outset because that is going to be a treasure trove of data. Because if I look at your website, one of the first things that jumps out at me is you've obviously got a very strong sort of brand positioning piece, and a lot of your main navigation is very much telling the brand story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the issue for me is fundamentally you're an e-commerce store,
Yeah.
and of all the tabs on your, if I just look at your nav,
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, the shop is not the primary focus, if you like, and being an e-commerce store. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Is that intentional? Have you done any tests on that? Because that for me is like, I would want to be making the shop the real hero, whereas it doesn't feel like that.
No, I mean, it should be. I mean, the first drop down is shop all, but
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess what
But
you're saying is it's not clear enough or strong enough.
no, I personally just looking, and I think I'll just give you my sort of, as it my I think for this. In fact, I'm going to change tack slightly. What's your, of all your products, of all the stuff you sell, what's your biggest lines? What do you sell most of?
We sell overshirts and t-shirts the most.
There you'll be, and percentage wise, what do they account for as total revenue right now?
They would be 80, 80 plus
Those
percent.
two combined. So
Those two
overshirts and
combined.
t-shirts,
That's
that's
right.
kind of what, and I noticed a lot of your features on the website. You've got one or two celebrity endorsements, stuff like that, haven't you? And they're talking about the overshirts and t-shirts and stuff like that. So that is kind of what you're known for. Is that fair?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So, because I think the key thing when we've done this for small brands, and whether it's fashion or what I always say is focus. And so I think for you to stand out in this, you need to make sure. So when you're marketing with all of your activity, with your Google ads, how much of all of your activity is focused on your key lines, your key products? Because do you know that? Do you know what, are you just running, when you're running Performance Max, how much of it is specifically on overshirts and t-shirts?
Probably not enough. We always go back to it, but I think the distraction, like any business, and the
Yeah.
loss of focus is too
Because
much of a focus on brand and
yeah,
storytelling.
because I think for me, that was one of the overarching things. When I looked at this, when I obviously pre-record, I always have familiarize myself with the brands that are coming on the pod. And one of the things that jumped out of me is I get the mission, and that's great. And I think you've got way too many statements of intent and sort of almost mission statements. I just pegged a few, and we spoke. You said at the top, positively modern menswear, style that doesn't cost the earth. Other key sort of brand statements that are like, we're going to staple that to the brand. You talk about low carbon future, reducing clothing waste, climate conscious clothing, ecological fashion, like the list goes on and on and on. There's so many brand statements in here that I think fundamentally, what's the point? What's the purpose of the website? It is to sell a product. Now, your target market and who you're going after, and they want to buy. But and this is why I mentioned GSC, so Google Search Console at the top, is fundamentally you need to understand how do they search, because the customer that's going to buy is most likely going to be more eco-conscious and stuff like that, and you've got a demographic in mind, but that almost certainly will not be reflective of how they search. So when it comes to SEO, Google Ads, people finding the product, you need to put the product front and center. And I think you can be, for me, I would be focusing in on, right, what is the product I want to sell? What have I historically sold most of? I'd be putting that front and center, and then overlaying on top of that the brand value, missions, the purpose, because that will eke out who is going to buy from you and who isn't. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, absolute sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think so
It's
for
good.
me, that's one, and that would feed in that, just to come back to what I was talking about with the navigation. That is where I would be changing it, because if overshirts and t-shirts, those two labels absolutely need to be in your top nav, not in
Yeah,
shop. They're lost. They're completely lost in your shop all. Right. You need
yeah,
to be, if overshirt. So and at the minute you've got like Neem Notes, which is basically your blog. You've got Why Neem. There's so much about the brand and who you are. And it's all good stuff. And, and I'm not saying it's not important, but there's an element of, right, if we drive some people to the website, if we get eyeballs on the site, we in part want them to buy into the brand and the mission. Absolutely. But fundamentally, we want to make the sale. And we need to
yeah.
prioritize that. Once they've bought, then we can, through your emails and all of that good stuff, we can then sell the brand and build that up. And you've already said your retention rate, so your repeat customer rate is really good, and that's fantastic. I would expect that, but I think we need to put way more focus on selling the product, put the product front and center, because at the moment, for me, it feels like the product is secondary to the brand and the mission you're on.
Okay, it's good. Good feedback. Very good
Yeah.
feedback.
So I
Yeah.
think that now, beyond that, what? So I sort of hinted at the top is you don't like Meta. What's that about?
Well, we think that up till now, Meta has. And look, we're happy and keen to go on Meta now. So now we can show clearly that it's incremental, and there will be a customer for sure on Meta.
Yep.
And I strongly believe that it's a channel that we need to be on. But previously, there were two things going on with Meta. One was that we ran it as a marketing statement of sort of Zuck, let's build without Meta. So some of that was based on the climate principles, and then also that was based on us trying Meta early post launch, so 21, early 22, and it not working. And then I concluded, second point was that we needed to sort of build a following, build a decent Instagram sort of channel with a few thousand followers, which we've now
Yeah.
got,
Sure.
before there's credibility around Meta, and that there is albeit tiny awareness, there is some awareness, whereas I've just been pushing it down the road until I thought we were ready. I'd say we're now ready. I think
But
the
hold
site
on, hold
is.
on, hold on, hold on.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not talking about Meta from a social perspective. I mean, I'm talking from an ad perspective.
yeah. So from an ad, we work hard on organic social, but
Yeah.
from an ad perspective, it was just I didn't think we were ready. I didn't think we'd get a return.
Interesting.
And
Based on what though? Gut feel or any data?
but based on running ads in 2020, 21, 22, and us wasting money on it.
For this brand.
No, when we launched. So we launched October 21.
Right.
And then we ran ads from sort of November 21 to March 22.
But what sort of ads were you running? Can you remember?
Various different ads. We were running a Gen Lead ad to try and build up the email database. We were running an awareness ad to try and drive top of funnel, and then we were running a retargeting ad.
What sort of budget did you put onto those ads?
We spent far too much money on it. Really, it was a crippler. Actually, we had some help, and someone actually gave us an agency like the brand so much, and they were super helpful. They said, "Look, we'll give you 1,500 quid, and then support free of charge." So they gave us full agency support, gave us 1,500 quid to spend on ads. Cool. And then I think we put in 2,500. Okay. So in the sort of 3 months we spent, 4,000+ quid.
Yeah.
And had full agency support. And at that point I was like, look, we need to know what we're doing here. Sure. And that's why we sort of doubled down on Google. And then
so shall I tell you what I'd do if this was my business?
Yeah, go on.
Before we go any further, are you enjoying today's episode? If so, you'll love our other show, Tea Talks. They're short, informal chats where the Evergreen experts and I share actionable nuggets on all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy that we use daily when growing our clients' businesses. And best of all, much like this podcast, it's completely free. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, see the link in the description. Now, let's get back to it. Right. So you absolutely should be on Google, right? But you shouldn't be, you should be very focused on Google. So if you're running Performance Max is good. I would be split testing. So within Performance Max, I'm just going to give you a bunch of things because there's so many things that I would be doing on this. And I just want to give you a list and then you can take away and implement it and do it. And it will grow this business. Yep. Performance Max, overshirts and t-shirts, they're the only two lines. They make up 80% of your sales, and your imagery is very much focused on those, the whole position of the brand. So I would be focused on those two. I would run Performance Max. I'd be running feed only with asset led. So do you know what the difference between those? Do you know the difference?
I don't, but someone else will. Marina will know.
So you can have a listen back to it. That's fine, but. Essentially, so with Performance Max, you can run a split test. Is you can, on the one hand, you can feed Performance Max, set it just for overshirts, and then one for a different campaign for, or maybe a different campaign, maybe a different ad set. But essentially, you want to split test overshirts versus t-shirts. But then within that, for each of them, you want to be running one asset group, which is where you strip everything out and you kind of force Performance Max to just be shopping. And then another one where you give it all the assets, all the headlines, all the imagery, you give it everything it wants, and then you run it as a test. And you say, what works better when I force Performance Max to just be shopping, or if I give it the autonomy to go shopping plus search, plus display, plus this, plus that, etc., etc. That is a split test we run for all clients. You will very quickly, within 12 weeks, be able to see which one works better. So I would be doing that, and I would forgo the rest. Don't try for this, for a small business, when you've got very limited budgets that you can put into ads. The classic mistake everyone makes is they go, well, I'll go out with all my products. I'll put everything out to market and I'll see what works. Mistake, because you will not get enough volume in to make any kind of statistically significant data to draw any conclusions. So it's far better to use your historical sales data and go, well, look, 80% of our sales are for overshirts and t-shirts. Great. Now let's focus on those. I would also be running shopping. So standalone shopping. Google have recently made some changes with shopping to give it more of a level playing field when it compares to Performance Max. For the last couple of years, Performance Max has essentially overridden shopping for the same product lines. Now it doesn't. It's now down to ad rank, which is a good thing for retailers such as yourself. It means you can give shopping a fair crack of the whip. And we're doing some very interesting experiments right now and are seeing shopping in some cases outperform Performance Max. Because for you, the reason shopping is going to be where you're going to make most of your sales is because when you Google something, the products come up, you see the picture, you see the name, you see the price. So I would be doing that. So yeah, Google, I would be investing as much as you possibly could into Google, and then, but having it absolutely focused, and then looking at really whether you do it or you get someone to do it, but you really need to sweat the small stuff on the details, and export as much data as you can to see what's working, how people are searching, because you're essentially the way you should be thinking about Google Shopping, Performance Max is. It's research. It's basically you're paying to do keyword research. That's the way you should be thinking about it. You're using it to gather data. Yeah. Okay. You should also be overlaying to give your shopping and all your Google ads, your search ads a kickstart. You should be leveraging your organic data from Google Search Console, because that again, reverse engineer. If you go into Search Console, UK, last 12 months, go and find your, I would filter by overshirts, by t-shirts, look at those pages and find out all of the ways in which people search. How do they search by size? Do they search by color, by type, by fit, by style, by this? Find out how people search. You can use that intel to better optimize your ads, your product feed, and so on. So I would be putting a big focus on the number of brands that we've been able to scale where they've come in, they're going, well, we're doing our first 3, 4, 5, 600,000, and they want to then kick on. The amount of brands we've been able to go, just put a real focus on Google, and Google should be able to drive this business to 1 to 2 mil relatively easily. Like, it's never straightforward, but within 12, 18 months, you should be able to get those kind of levels of growth. Then once you get to sort of maybe, 1.5, 2.5 mil, then you start to reduce down the reliance. That's the sort of growth cycle we take a lot of brands on, is you use Google to pedal growth. You get to a couple of million, and then you start to think, right, I need to now dilute this, which is where your organic stuff comes in. So Google, I'd be all over like a rash. Have you considered doing Bing ads?
No, we haven't. But I like Bing, and then Ecosia as well, because
you should definitely be on Bing.
Feeds into Bing. Does Bing feed into Ecosia?
I'm not sure, to be honest. But so with Bing, owing to your target market, definitely I would be all over Bing, because your target market is on there. So, and again, with Bing, you can run Bing in a very straightforward way by running it off the back of Google. So it's very simple. You can just do an import. You can schedule that import. It will just work. It's kind of minimal maintenance. I would, especially if you're doing it on a small scale, I would absolutely be doing that, because I think your target market are on it. You just need to be really clear on, for every pound I put into Google Ads, what do I get back? And I think by understanding that, looking at your margins and so on, you need to know, is a 3 okay? Is a 4? Do I need a minimum of 4? Do I need a 5 times return, or a 6 or a 7? Understanding that, and then sort of forecasting it with economies of scale and a diminishing return as you seriously scale, will enable you to confidently be able to go, there is no budget for Google Ads. If I can put £1 in and get £4 back out, we're in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah. So Google, Performance Max, split testing, shopping, standalone, just for those 2 categories. Bing, roll that out for sure.
And how much would you put into Bing?
I would probably initially, I'd probably do an 80-20 split, Google to Bing, in terms of budgets. I don't know what budgets you're playing with, but I would be taking 20% of Google, putting it into Bing, experimenting over probably a 6-week period, and then you'll start to dial it. Bing will never spend what Google will, but Bing is absolutely something you should be doing, as well as Google. Then on Meta, what you should be doing on Meta is retargeting. Absolute no-brainer. Have you ever done any retargeting?
Not since 22, no.
Right. You are literally leaving money on the table then. So for all of the people that are coming to your website, you should be captured. So you're using Klaviyo, right?
We are,
Right. So you should be taking your Klaviyo list. You've got 3,000 or 4,000 on there. You should be taking your Klaviyo lists, building them into audiences that you can retarget on Google and into Meta as well. You should be leveraging all of your first party data. You should be putting the Meta pixel on your website to be able to capture those people, so that anyone that goes to the website, whether it's through an ad or organic or anything, you should be taking those data to then retarget them and keep the brand top of mind. And what I would be doing is keeping it all of this stuff I'm describing is is keeping it simple. But what I'd be doing is I would be running a combination of a catalog campaign, so a commerce campaign on Meta, where we show the product. So someone's gone on, they viewed a specific overshirt. You want to be able to show them that overshirt and show them a range of, here's the different styles, different types, different colors, etc. So I'd be running basically a Meta catalog campaign, but only to a retargeted audience. So it's not a cold audience. These are only going to people that have been on the website, plus email subscribers, plus anyone else that you got first party data for. And then I'd be split testing from an ad perspective, the catalog with some brand messaging. So getting in. So I'd probably be running 3 ads. I'd probably be running one that's catalog based on in an ideal world, you'd be running 3. One that's catalog. So here's the product you were just looking for and others like it. Then I'd be, if you can do it, I'd be running a video, a really slick, like Neem London. This is who we are. This is what we're about. This is what we stand for. Because there's a lot that you do as a business on that. So I don't know if you've got any videos or anything.
Yeah, we've got plenty of videos.
Right, amazing. So I'd be doing have a really strong call to action in those first 3 to 5 seconds, but something that really portrays this is us, this is who we are. And then I would have something more about the brand message, the storytelling side of it. Of this is why you should buy from us, to pull on those sort of kind of emotional triggers, but those buying signals. So a combination of some of your ads be very product led, some of it be very brand led. all going to a retargeting audience, because as soon as someone engages, it's very likely that they will see all of those ads over a period of time. And you're what you're doing, you should be using Meta to stay top of mind with your target audience, because the thing to remember with Meta and with any social platform is they're not actively searching. So what you want to do in the first instance is just remain top of mind. So you're building that know, like, and trust. Your prompt marketing. You're saying, hey, we're still here. Were you still considering buying that shirt or that t-shirt?
Okay.
Once you've done that and you get some traction, you get some conversions coming in. These should be conversion-led campaigns, not brand awareness, not yet. Once you've got some conversions coming in, then what you should be doing is then building out some lookalike audiences on Meta to say to Meta, okay, now Meta, you've learned who is buying from us. Yeah, you're going to overlay your targeting. It's men, this 45 plus, etc., etc. Go and find me people like these. And that's where you'd have a different set of ads that's going to then reintroduce, this is who Neem London is, this is what we stand for, and then a call to action, maybe put an offer on it, Black Friday, Christmas, etc., 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 to drive people to the website.
Okay, and what sort of conversion of a brand of our size do you think is realistic?
What do you mean?
Total site conversion.
As in, as a website as a whole, your conversion rate on the website?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting, if you're getting, 2%, 3%, you're good. You're in good shape.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to vary based on the numbers, because how much footfall do you get to the website right now on an average month? Do you know roughly?
Vary. Well, the Google ads are turned off at the moment, but I'm going to look quickly for you, but we're probably getting
talking like a couple of thousand or something.
A week or a day.
Well, like a week or even a month. I just want to get an idea of,
So for October, we had about 25,000 sessions.
Okay, wow. Okay, and how many unique users?
Unique users, 60%.
Okay. So you're getting some good numbers. So the key thing for you to understand then is how reliant is. So I would be looking at where that traffic's coming from, basically. How reliant is the brand on traffic you're buying in? I talk a lot about this backbone of digital marketing concept I have, which I'll send you a link to afterwards if you haven't seen it. It's on our website, and it talks about, from your perspective, you need to understand how reliant your brand, your business is on traffic you're buying, what your organic visibility looks like, what your brand visibility looks like, and where other referral traffic's coming from. So social media, how much traffic you're getting from email. Understanding that is kind of like doing a SWOT analysis for your business. And that's really powerful, because then you can say, my online business is 50%, 70%, 20% reliant on X channel. And that's really important to know, because then when you can reverse engineer back and go, okay, if 50% of my revenue is coming from paid traffic, you can then look at it and go, okay, 50% of my revenue, let's keep the numbers simple, that represents 200,000 in turnover. Well, then you can look at it over, say, a 12-month period and go, okay, so 50% of my revenue has been attributed to paid traffic. That represents 200K. I know in terms of ads, I spent, I don't know, 50 grand generating that 200. Therefore, at an account level, I can see I've got a 4 times ROAS. I put 50K in, I got 200 attributed back out. That makes sense, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then
Good.
when you're thinking about growth, what you then do is you then go, right, I now want to take this business up to 750 or up to 1 million. And then you say, well, which of those levers can I influence and where and how soon? So can I, suddenly ratchet up? If you look at it and you go, well, 200K of my revenue is coming from paid, and therefore let's keep the numbers simple. So we say 50K is coming from organic, and then 100K is coming from email, and so on. So then when you're thinking about growth, you're going, right, I want to go from 500 turnover to 750 or to 1 million. Right, where's that additional 250 going to come from? And you turn around and you go, well, can I suddenly predictably say that my email is going to, in the next 12 months, is going to go up? Is that going to double? Well, not unless you're going to buy some lists in or suddenly have a way or do some PR that's going to massively increase your email list. Your email list is going to grow organically.
Yeah.
Same as your SEO. That's going to improve. It's a slow burn. So you then have to look at your channels, and you basically look at it and go, which of the channels, my pillars, can I influence? And most small brands under 2 or 3 million, they end up, which is why I said earlier, they end up at paid, because they go, that's the one channel or that's the one type of traffic that I can influence because I can put more in to get more out.
And
so
you can
then you
measure
might
it
look.
and assess it. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So then you might go, right, we need to add 250 to our revenue over the next year, 250K. So you might say, well, I know that just through organic growth, I can add on maybe 50 or say 100 across the other channels. But that means growth wise, I need 150 to come from paid. If you're then knowing that you're getting a 4 ROAS, then you can quickly work out the sums and go to generate an additional 150K, I need to put an extra 30K into ads and maintain the 4 ROAS. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You with me
Yeah,
on that?
absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Very clear.
and that's how you're able to remove a lot of the guesswork and actually quickly sort of go, I can pretty confidently say that I can take my brand from where we are today at 500,000 to 750,000. And I can do that because I've forecast and can predict that of that additional 250 revenue, 150 is going to come from paid. I know I'm getting a 4 return. Therefore, if I, or it actually needs to be more than that, wouldn't it? But you can work out the sums quite quickly.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
One of our challenges at the moment is that an enormous amount of the traffic and then the sales is direct.
Okay, hold on. So when you say direct, is that in GA reported as direct?
That's right.
Okay, how confident are you your tracking is set up properly?
Well, as confident as we are, without
Because
someone else.
when you say a large percentage, that's just straight away as a red flag for me. What percentage of your traffic is saying it's direct?
70-80%.
Then you've got a tracking problem, because it won't be that. I can guarantee you it's not that high. So when you see in GA4 that a huge proportion of your traffic is defaulting to direct, it basically means Google default. You will be getting some traffic direct. So some people will just be going on returning customers, people that will be going on to absolutely. But direct, from a tracking perspective in GA4, acts as a default. So when Google doesn't know where the user came from, it defaults them to direct. So there will be a chunk of that traffic which is not in fact direct. It might be organic, it might be paid, it might be email, but Google's basically going, I don't know where that person has originated from, therefore I'm going to default them to direct. So you do need to do a tracking piece of work to make sure that everything is set up correctly. That is, I can point you in direction after the pod in terms of if you want that to be looked at. I can guarantee your tracking's not going to be right if it's that high.
Very helpful.
So that's something to just be mindful of and to check. And I think, so I would check that. And then, because if you go into GA4, if you go on the left side into, let me just pull it up so I can tell you exactly where to go. If you go in your profile, so you've got the advertising section on the left side.
Yeah, I'm just going in.
Yeah. This is a really good place. It's a very simple way, because GA4 is an absolute minefield. And anyone listening, watching in, if you're sort of thinking GA4, it confuses the heck out of me, believe me, it confuses me as well. It's, the old Google Analytics was made for marketers. We all love that. We had that for over a decade. The new GA4 really is a tool made for analysts, not mere mortal marketers. And so it confuses a lot of marketers. And the trick is to find the little bits that you need to know. Kind of don't worry about the rest.
So I'm in advertising. Yeah.
Advertising. Have you got attribution, then attribution models?
Yeah.
That's where. So look in there. And have you got data populated in there?
In attribution paths or attribution models?
Attribution models.
Attribution models. Yeah,
open up a date range of the last few months or something. Does it have your revenue in there and stuff like that?
It has, key events, revenue. Yeah.
And have you got, what's the attribution of your total revenue? Does that look about 78%, or is that showing you a different numbers?
It's saying that no, it's slightly lower. Organic search is high. Unassigned is high.
Okay, see, there's your
tracking
direct
problem. Is about 50%.
There you go. So
then,
if you've got higher unassigned, that's your tracking problem. But where I've just shown you there, that's a good place to get an understanding. So what I would do for you, zoom out, look at the year to date, look at the last 10, 11 months, look at year to date and see what it's looking in terms of, right, our total revenue is reporting X. Compare that to Shopify data. Does it look about right? And then from there, look at, right, what's it attributing to direct, to organic? And you want to be looking at data driven, not last click.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just going to give, it's not going to be exact, but it's going to give you a steer on, it's going to tell you roughly how reliant you are on the different sort of channels and platforms.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have a look at that. That will give you a good idea. But yeah, so to recap, then, because there's so many things you could and you should be doing, but I think the key things also, just as a segue, your opening image on your homepage is these two models you've got there, and they're at a lake.
Yeah.
You can't see the menu.
Yeah.
Remove that in, because the sky is dark and your text is white. So that
Yeah.
all important first 3 seconds on the website, you cannot read any of the menu at all.
Yeah.
Also, Darren's got something.
I also noticed that your link at the top that goes to Facebook doesn't work.
There you go. So there's sort that out. But yeah, the homepage, just in terms of that menu. But I think for me, because you're a couple of years in, you're doing great to get to this point. For me, the biggest things that I would do, I don't want to give you too many things to go away and focus on. What I'd be doing is I would actually go into Google search. This is a bit of homework you can do. Go into Google Search Console. Make sure you got that set up firstly.
Yeah.
You in there filter by, because you're only selling the UK, right?
We do about 20% US.
Okay, fine. So have a look at the UK in isolation and then look worldwide. But initially look at the UK. And what I want you to do is a little bit of homework. And for anyone listening and watching this, you can do the same with your website if you're not sure, if you've got lots of stuff going on your website. What you can do is you can use Google Search Console to filter by how visible the different parts of your website are. So what I want you to do, Nick, is you've got your slow November, right? Which is basically, that's kind of your equivalent of like seasonal Black Friday, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, fine. So you've got that. But you've also got Neem Notes, which is basically your blog.
Yep.
And then you've got the Why Neem.
And you take Neem Notes off the top nav?
I don't know. I would let the data... so what I would be doing, I don't think you need... Let me have a look. So what I'd be doing, I always let the data do the talking for me. So if you go into Google Search Console, what you can do is you can basically apply a filter. So I'd filter by, look at the last 12, 16 months, do 12 months worth of data. Look at the last 12 months of data, then filter by UK only, a country. And then you've got the button that says filter. Click on that and go to pages. And then when you click page, a little pop-up will appear and it says, page that contains, and it's basically a way of you can filter. And if you click on, say, Neem Notes, in the URL, all of your blog posts run off /blogs/news/article name, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. And so you can apply a filter. So if you were to put a filter and all the filter said is you filter by pages, you say only include pages with /blogs/news.
Yeah.
What that's going to do from Google Search Console for the last year is it's going to show you how many impressions and crucially clicks you had organically into the news section. If you do that, what it's going to basically show you is it worth having your blog so prominently in the main nav? Because you're putting all this time and effort into the blog, and I think you might just be a little bit surprised at the visibility that it's got.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And then what Absolutely. I'd also be doing is in the Why Neem section, all of those pages they all run, if you look at the URL strings, because that's what you're looking for is the URL strings, they all run under, or most of them run under /pages/.
Yeah.
So again, that is different to your products because your products don't. Your products everything runs under collections because it's Shopify. So what you could do is you could apply a filter and go /pages/. And the point of doing both of those is to just see how visible those sections are and how much clicks, because that will basically tell you how often those pages are being found, how often they're being visited. You could also do the same thing in Google Analytics. And the whole point of it is these parts of the website which you are putting front and center, it's like the equivalent of you're putting them in the shop window going, hey, this is what you need to know. I think you will be surprised at just how little these pages are seen and being found. And so for me, I would absolutely have them, but I would be grouping them together and I would be making much more of a song and dance about the product specifically.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah. So look at the data and make the products.
You need to make the product.
You
need to reduce you need to change the focus. At the moment, I would say, well, most of your menu shows that it is very much, it's Neem. It's everything brand. And that is very important. I'm not saying it's not, but we need to balance it, because ultimately someone can love the brand, but if they're not buying the product, this brand isn't going to be around in a few years. So we need to put the product much more front and center. And I would be leaning in with overshirts, t-shirts. I would rather see overshirts and t-shirts in there over winter 24 and then pre-order and all of this sort of stuff. And the whole slow November, I get that that's a brand thing, but for me, and I don't know your brand, your customer, do they know what that means? Because, I would be going, just call it Black November, call it what it is. Certainly from a navigational perspective, because then you can educate the person. You've clicked in for Black Friday. We don't actually call it Black Friday. We call it Slow November because da 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this is all about optimization. It's about getting people to see and recognize the product. Don't bury the product. You're burying it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So focus more on the product. Bring that front and center. Slim down the Neem London focus, because that's overkill at the moment. Google Ads, split test, shopping, performance max, feed only, asset led, but go all in on the two primary lines, because that's ultimately what is going to you get those working. Because once you can go, right, I'm putting £1 in, I'm getting 5 out consistently, great, let that do its thing. Then you can look at adding an additional category. Don't try and spread a small budget of a few thousand across every product. You just won't touch the sides. I see it all the time. Yeah, to do that. And then the last thing with Meta, just focus on retargeting. And again, have those ads. Have catalog ads, so you're showing the product. Have a brand video, so you show the brand and that affirmation, that sort of lifestyle-y piece. And then have another ad that reinforces why that person needs to buy from Neem London.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all right. Go on. Sorry.
No. There's one more thing, and then the fourth thing is set yourself up on Bing.
Yeah, got it. I've been furiously writing notes. But,
well, you better listen to this back when it comes out. But I think those has that been useful? I'm pretty sure I've thrown a lot at you there, but there's just so many things that as soon as I was like, oh, we've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. I think if you do those
furiously, things. I've been, as I say, furiously writing notes, and tremendously useful. And that we haven't really had a marketing expertise ever in the business. It's been me or others sort of working it out, and then I'm sure spending foolishly as well, whereas things like shops, pop-ups, magazines have done well. You can see the return,
sure.
or not if you get it wrong.
Yep.
Whereas I think Google and online paid has just been a fumble,
it's
jumble.
How you use it. It's all an education, and that's the point of the pod. That's exactly the point of the Grow with Evergreen podcast. Is brands come on because they don't know what you don't know. It is a minefield. It is a specialist skill. It's an art. It's an art, and what you've got for the last best part of an hour is my 10,000-20,000 hours worth of experience just looking at it, and you don't know what you don't know. So hopefully it's been useful. But take those things, and just focus, because you've got it. And I have to say that the imagery, the way you've shot this and stuff, I love it. I think it's very, very strong. And for anyone listening, watching in, check out neemlondon.com. It's a really nice website, great product. And I think it's been executed well. It just lacks that marketing focus, key lines, key platforms, and just making sure that as a brand, we stay top of mind. Because if your lifetime value, if your repeat customer is as good as you say it is, and you do what the things I've said, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to double this business in the next sort of 18 months.
Okay, brilliant. All right, very optimistic. Love it.
Thank you so much for being on the pod, my friend. I hope and do me a favor, will you make sure that you keep in touch and just ping us an email and update. If you make the changes we've said, if you go onto Bing, if you change the nav, if you do these things and you go onto Meta, just keep me in the loop. Would you send me an email and update? Because I'd love to know that in 3-6 months, how you get on making those changes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some will do immediately, like the top nav, and then
please
others
do. As soon as you make those changes, please do, because I'd love to sort of know and then check back in a couple of months. And just for my own sense of curiosity, I love to know you make those changes. We had lots of past guests that come in, and then they tell us, what they've done, and we can see it. And I love that. That's why I do the pod. So yeah, keep me in the loop. I'd love to know.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you very
Nick,
much.
thanks for being on, my friend.
Helpful.
Really good chat. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Well, there you go. That was Nick. I feel like I threw a lot at him there, but this is a brand. I love brands that come on like Neem London, because they just they're ripe for growth, and just doing making a few changes. You can this brand can just catapult its growth, because he's got the basics in place, but maybe through a lack of understanding, expertise, experience, just making some fundamental errors in terms of, the things we've discussed. Make those little tweaks. None of what we've covered is going to take that long to implement, and it could have a dramatic impact on this business's fortunes. That, for me, that literally encompasses what Grow with Evergreen is about. It's just,
absolutely.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That for me is just like, yes, hopefully I've been able to add some value there. He goes, with his target market, go onto Bing, get retargeting up and working, and put the product front and center.
Yeah,
make those changes.
I think you're absolutely right, especially with those two best-selling products.
Just focus. How many times do I say, just don't try and be all things to all people? Don't try and focus so much on selling the brand that you forget that you're selling the product.
Yeah, and you want to limit those steps that are required.
Don't make it complicated
to get to that buying stage.
Don't make it difficult for your customer to to buy your product, and then to remain top of mind, because it is a competitive space. But if you do the basics well, and you just carve out your little niche, and you become, as I say all the time, famous to a few. He knows his target market, and he knows they buy frequently once they engage with a brand. So great, stay top of mind with them. Be sending your emails, but also be retargeting them on Meta, because his target market are definitely on Facebook and Instagram. He should be
absolutely.
I love it. Oh, that has made my morning. What a great episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for joining us as ever. Darren and I are off to some breakfast. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.